Good morning. Well, here we are a few days after the beginning of Advent. It started this last Sunday. Yet Advent started a long time ago, didn't it? It started about 400 years after Christ. People began to celebrate Advent, the coming of Christ. The word Advent itself means coming. And we talk about a second advent, a second coming of Jesus that we all look forward to. Well, we also celebrate that first advent because if it hadn't been for that, if it hadn't been for the coming of Jesus to this earth, we would all be lost. We find a wonderful scripture text, Isaiah chapter 9, which we quite often relate to Christmas and Advent because it is a passage about the coming of Jesus into the world. And it says in verse 2 that the people who are walking in darkness have seen a great light. I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like we as a culture have been walking in darkness for a while now, at least for the last couple of years. Certainly, even Christians have been tested. Truly, it's sort of been a dark period of discouragement and frustration. I've talked to my pastor friends, and it seems like people are leaving the church. They're going on to other churches, and I think they're trying to find some fulfillment that they're not finding within their own spiritual walk with Christ, because it's a discouraging time. I'm not putting anything on those individuals, not criticizing them at all. It's just because this is historical. We can go back thousands of years, and people have had periods of darkness, periods of walking in a kind of a time of disarray and frustration and discouragement. And that's what we see in that's been going on around us. And so as we go into Advent this year, as we anticipate the coming of Christ, as we see the lights, as we experience the Christmas carols, as we experience the scripture and all that there is related to Advent, I hope it's going to be a time of real encouragement to you, a time that will help bring you out of some of this darkness. We just came back from Reno this last week, and we saw our new grandchild. Little Merrill Wolf is just a darling little baby. And Stephanie and Trainer's first child. And it kind of put all of us in a real wonderful spirit, just seeing this new baby and being with my three daughters and their families and playing with my grandchildren, playing basketball with my two grandsons. And just all of these things have just been was a wonderful experience. And so as I've come home from that experience, I've got a little bit of a lilt in my step, a little bit of a joy in my heart that wasn't there before, just from being able to spend time with my grandchildren. And I think that's sort of the way Advent is. We need something to lift us. But it's really Jesus Christ that lifts us. It's really our relationship with God, our time in prayer, our time of reading scripture, our time of growing spiritually that really gives us the lift that we need. And so I'm hoping that that'll be the case for you. Now, as we go through Advent this year, there's some special services that I want to mention. The first one is coming up this coming Sunday night, the 5th, and it will be held at First Baptist Church in downtown Lincoln. And it's entitled Blue Christmas. As you know, people will oftentimes either lose a loved one during the holidays or sometime during the year, and then when you face those first holidays, you go into it with a spirit of dread, a spirit of discouragement and grief that you carry into that holiday. And so this particular Vespers service, which will be held at 5:00 in the afternoon at First Baptist, it's going to be focused in on the theme of a blue Christmas and how joy comes even in the midst of sorrow and discouragement. The following week after that is going to be held at Second Baptist Church on December 12th at 5:00 in the afternoon. this Vesper service, which all of these Vesper services are going to be about 45 minutes long. They're not going to be long services, but very focused times. And the one at Second Baptist on December 12th is going to be focused upon a Teze form of worship. And that's a form of worship that originated in France. It's spread all over the world, and it's comprised of very short little choruses, scriptures, and then kind of in a repetitive form. And so I hope that you'll come and be part of that as well. And then the last one is going to be held on the 19th, and that's going to be more of a traditional kind of a Christmas service at 5 o'clock in the afternoon at Belmont Baptist. And that particular service is going to be also at 5 o'clock, and it was going to be focused upon a lot of the traditional Christmas carols, Christmas scriptures. Now, aside from that, we're also having our regular services on Sunday morning. We're having our cantata, which is going to be held on the 12th of December in our morning worship service. And we're also having our Christmas Eve service, December 24th. I'll be having our Christmas Eve service as well. I hope that you'll be part of that. I hope that this season will bring you joy, even in the midst of all the COVID and the isolation and the jobs and the economy and everything else, the kinds of things that discourage us, the things that cause us to walk in darkness, that we will indeed see a great light. Go in God's peace and have a great day.